How's your high school crush doing these days? Currently in prison for insurance fraud on some of her vehicles, and attempted murder on an ex-boyfriend and indecent exposure for running around naked while drunk off her ass waving around a knife. I dodged the massive bullet there. 3 kids. Divorce because her ex got caught by a federal agency for sending nudes, gifts to a 15-year-old. Using federal hardware. She's still banging hat though, so there's that. This is totally true, I promise. Became a priest. No big surprise, we went to Catholic school. You get one of those every few years. My mom ran into him at a golf outing to benefit the seminary. He seemed happy with the priesthood. Fast forward, has left the priesthood. Married, 3 kids, lives in Arizona. Word on the street is he knocked up a parishioner. My high school sweetheart cheated on me with her boss, and then left me 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married. She married him and had 5 kids. By all accounts, she has a wonderful life doing exactly what she wanted to do, which is stay at home and be a mom. Life is breathtakingly unfair, and there is often nothing any of us can do to change that. My high school sweetheart cheated on me with her boss, and then left me 2 weeks before we were supposed to get married. She married him and had 5 kids. By all accounts, she has a wonderful life doing exactly what she wanted to do, which is stay at home and be a mom. Life is breathtakingly unfair, and there is often nothing any of us can do to change that. First one, has a kid and moved to Florida. Married to a 40-year-old man. She's 26. Second one, has a kid, still lives in town. Saw her again recently. Still nice, has her shit together. Third one, was set to be married but called it off. She used me as a break BF to go back to almost marry her ex. Now she's a nurse. Graduated 7 years ago. She reached out to me last year after not speaking for 6 years to tell me she loved me too and wanted me back in her life. I ignored. The story between us is quite lengthy, but yay. Even though I still have every bit of the feelings I had for her back then, it wouldn't have been smart going back. Edit. Story time was requested, so story time has been provided. Her and I met my senior year of high school, sat next to each other in a couple of classes and naturally started talking a bit. Frequency at which we were talking started picking up and extended beyond class. Eventually we were texting, flirting, and she seemed just as much into me as I was her. I can't explain it, but we got so damn close so damn quick. It sounds cliché, but I felt like I'd known her my entire life and I was very quickly becoming crazy about her. Things were going really well for the first couple of months. Her friends were making little jokes about us and how we were officially a thing, so I knew she was talking about me to others. But it was also my first experience with girls and I didn't want to rush anything. Probably mid-December, we are having a more personal conversation and long story short, I ended up telling her I had romantic feelings for her. Her response was, I feel the same about you but don't know that I want a relationship right now. I like the way things are going, and want to continue with that. So, I took that at face value, and figured I had a shot at something if we just continued doing what we're doing. Like a week later, she asked me to enter formal and I was super excited. About a week before graduation, we get our yearbooks. She gave me hers to sign and figuring why not, I pretty much left a love note in there. I told her not to read it until after graduation, but she texted me later that day saying she couldn't help herself and that she broke down crying after reading it. I was at lacrosse so I didn't see it right away, and after a bit of me not replying, she sent another text saying you truly are my best friend and then another one a few minutes later saying I love you. I had no idea where I stood with her by this point, so I just said I meant everything in the yearbook and that I loved her too. Maybe 20 minutes later I get a fucking novel of a text from her. It was essentially her side of everything that went down back in high school. When I confessed my feelings for her, she did feel the same but was scared of losing the friendship. The stupid games she played were just that, fueled by confusion in that she wanted me but was still too scared to lose me if it ended up not working out. When I cut her off that day, she knew she had finally fucked it up but felt it was now too late to try and tell me her feelings were not just platonic like I assumed they were. The entire time we'd been apart was hell, and she was never able to get over me, to the point that it was ruining relationships with other guys. So this was her last-ditch effort to get me back. She loved me and wanted nothing more than to be with me. I won't lie, I was crying by the end of it, and my gut instinct was to drive over to her place and rekindle everything I felt before, but I knew it would have been a terrible idea. 6 years is a lot of time, and I was no longer the person she knew in high school. Plus, I had plans that would have been completely ruined if I were to go back to her. So, I ignored that text too and blocked that number as well. I still think about it all the time, asking myself what could have been if I would have gone back. But this is not a fairy tale lol. I applaud if you actually read all this shit. It was kinda nice to put it all out there, cathartic in a way. One of them had a kid at age 19 with her BF who must have been in his early 20s at least. The kid is now 3 I believe. The second one is at an Ivy League school posting on her social media about the times with her friends, so she seems like she's doing well in life. The third on is in a sorority at her college, and ever since COVID hit, she's been posting a ton of political stuff on her IG story. She hangs out at the same bar I do. She seems really happy with how life worked out, the same way I am. It's actually pretty cool just talking to her as adults and not being all nervous like I was in high school when she was around. That's how my first crush is doing. I'm still married to my second crush and I am loving life. ITT. Everybody's crush is dead. Sadness. Mine didn't die, but she did recently get her leg amputated because she never got her diabetes under control. She smokes at least a pack a day still, too. She married some guy from Omaha and they bought a house in our hometown. It's pretty much a hoarder, and her hubby is also not keen on taking care of himself, but otherwise they're nice people. Her and I dated briefly at the end of school but decided we weren't right for each other. I still play pool on weekends with her hubby. He's alright, except he drinks Bud Light. She's awesome and somehow she isn't really aging. She looks just like she did when we were in high school, only prettier. She ended up marrying some asshole who's on Reddit all the time and they have too many kids and cats and spend way too much time in bed together. Got kicked out of whatever military branch he tried to join and now he works at a Subway in Walmart. Note: I'm not making fun of that kind of job. The irony is that before his current situation, he enjoyed mocking fast food employees. He's been engaged like 7 times now and I'm genuinely shocked that he doesn't have a kid yet. I'm not talking to her. We dated, ended horribly, caused some emotional trauma to me. So yeah, still wants to be friends, but I've just held my guard up, told her to give up trying, cause I don't want to. Actually talked to my friend about it and he said that he'd talk to her about it, be the ambassador, cause if we were to speak, it would end up with us at each other's necks. Not a clue. Left school before anything like social media was a thing, and was never able to find her on there. We didn't run in the same social circles. I was, and still am, a socially awkward dork, while she was one of the cool kids who spent most their time smoking, drinking, and such like. We just shared a couple of classes where I gazed at her from afar. If she's still alive, she probably doesn't even remember I exist. Throughout my high school days, I had developed strong crushes on 3 different girls. The longest one starting from my middle school is currently on her final year of architecture degree. The other is living independently in Texas and working in a fast food chain. and the last one is on track of becoming a local radio DJ. She's great. She's just about to graduate from a good university with a bachelor's in psychology, headed back to another school soon for an HR diploma. She's started her own freelance marketing, HR gigs with small local companies focused around workouts, dance, and yoga. She wants to move out of her mom's place, and she's saving up to do so. She's also saving up for a gaming setup. We've been together 5.5 years now. I'm proud of everything she's accomplished so far and I love her to bits. He wasn't just a crush, he was my first love. I lost my virginity to him. I thought he was the love of my life. I don't know if I will ever get over him, but I know I am better off without him. He broke my heart and tore me to pieces. The last time we spoke, which was a month or so ago, he told me he doesn't deserve love. This was in response to me telling him that I will always love him, but he does deserve love. He deserves to be appreciated and loved beyond words. He deserves happiness and peace. I would have done anything for him. I know we will never be together and that's okay. He has lived a very tough life and I don't know if he will ever be truly happy. Shit, I don't know if I will ever be truly happy either. His ex-fiancée cheated on him after a fucking funeral. It hurts so much to hear that. It's terrible that someone would stoop that low. He didn't accept me being there for him last year, though. Not really. Anyway, at the end of the day, he never cared about the love I have for him. I hope one day, a woman will come into his life and change his point of view on love. I hope she treats him well and helps him believe how worthy he is. I know I can never be that woman. It has been over 10 years. He has made me realize that I deserve the love I have always tried to give him. She was Reddit famous back in the earlier days of Reddit. Now she's happily married with 3 kids, still beautiful, still smart, baby loading girl aka you, air conditioner no ice, TBF. I am also happily married with 3 kids of my own to a beautiful and supportive, albeit different, woman, so it all worked out for both of us. Now I'm still in high school, just finishing up grade 12, and I've dated a good amount of girls during it, but pretty much since the first week of grade 9 I wanted to date this one girl. She was the first person I met at my school and she is beautiful. We became quite good friends over the past 4 years in our little friend group. Me, her, my best friend since grade 9 and his girlfriend has grown quite close, and on July 11th it will be me and my crush's 1-year anniversary of us dating. She is still pretty good looking, as I had suspected. Instead of achieving much herself, she just found a rich guy, and she still thinks in the same ridiculously structured and stodgy ways she was tout. She is definitely someone who had little to no desire to exert any effort to achieve. Not surprised. That was exactly how she dated in high school, as well. She's happily married with a great husband and cool little son. We still catch up occasionally. We went to Ms. HS and university together. It was one of those whenever one of us was single, the other wasn't kind of things. Wouldn't trade the friendship we developed over the decades for the world. I'm also happily married, 15 years. Woot. Let's summarize them. Homeless in Florida last I heard, and probably definitely a druggie, if she wasn't already, still a psychopath, a mother, divorced, and now identifies as the opposite sex, so actually a father, basically a hermit, also a guy now I think. Not that I have anything against that, I just think it's an odd trend in this list. Full SJW, like a sister to me now, and helping me get my first job. One of them had a kid at age 19 with her BF who must have been in his early 20s at least. The kid is now 3 I believe. The second one is at an Ivy League school posting on her social media about the times with her friends, so she seems like she's doing well in life. The third one is in a sorority at her college, and ever since COVID hit, She's been posting a ton of political stuff on her IG story. She hangs out at the same bar I do. She seems really happy with how life worked out, the same way I am. It's actually pretty cool just talking to her as adults and not being all nervous like I was in high school when she was around. That's how my first crush is doing. I'm still married to my second crush and I am loving life. ITT. Everybody's crush is dead. Sadness. Mine didn't die, but she did recently get her leg amputated because she never got her diabetes under control. She smokes at least a pack a day still, too. She married some guy from Omaha and they bought a house in our hometown. It's pretty much a hoarder, and her hubby is also not keen on taking care of himself. But otherwise they're nice people. Her and I dated briefly at the end of school but decided we weren't right for each other. I still play pool on weekends with her hubby. He's alright, except he drinks Bud Light. She's awesome and somehow she isn't really aging. She looks just like she did when we were in high school, only prettier. She ended up marrying some asshole who's on Reddit all the time and they have too many kids and cats and spend way too much time in bed together. My grade 11 girlfriend. We were both part of a student orchestra with students from all over the city. I'd had a girlfriend before, and she'd had a boyfriend too. We were both 16 when we started dating around February. Within a month, we were really serious. We spent nearly every day together during the Easter break. In May, we traveled to another city for a music competition. Managed to spend a full night together. First time either of us had done that. When we got home, things were great. We were looking forward to the summer. I was about to turn 17 and I would be able to drive. But then, her father announced that he'd accepted a new job about 3,000 kilometers away. They'd be moving just after the school year was over. We had a few more weeks together, and we made the most of them. We promised we'd keep in touch, but then she left. She never wrote or called. I never heard from her again. Married, has a dog, successful architect and seems happy. She's been wildly successful at anything she's been involved with, as far as I know. Girl I was dating in college, now married to her, said that her roommate's boyfriend at the time looked a bit like me and may have run into her at a party he attended where she was in school. She was drunk, mistook him for me and confided she had a crush on me after I graduated HS. I am a year ahead of her. Felt like a small victory at the time, but really couldn't be happier. She's doing well and succeeding. They're married but I don't care, haha, and my ex-boyfriend is married to this disgusting girl who basically stole him from me. I don't care about that either because I feel bad for him. She actually said in high school that she was only with him because she felt bad for him. She's not a good person. Last I checked she is divorced with kids, but is doing great at a university. Happy for her on the last parts. She had a crush on me first and I wasn't the nicest to her. Guess I had a lot of insecurities and was trying to push her away. Still was very wrong, but she was a good person and I hope for the best for her. Had 3 of them. They're all interesting stories, so let's share. One I dated in high school. We were both young and I didn't feel comfortable having sex at the time, but she wanted to experiment. And she ended up experimenting with the entire JV football team. She was overweight until she had a ton of plastic surgery. She doesn't even look like the same person. She also has 6 kids from 4 different men, has been married 3 times, is engaged to a 4th currently, who she hasn't had a kid with, and he's over twice her age. Guess who paid for that plastic surgery? The last one was literally my best friend growing up. She was more like family than any blood relative I have. I truly loved her. We dated and things got really serious. Enough to where she felt comfortable admitting that she was curious about girls. I encouraged it, because fucking dumb. Turns out, sexually speaking, She was far more into girls than guys. I ended the relationship because I knew she was conflicted, and told her that I'd love to make it work, but I also want her to be happy. And she wasn't happy being caught between two people, but if that changed, I'd still be there for her. She was happy to feel free to be herself, and I was honestly happy for her. It didn't last though. She died a couple of years later, and her girlfriend, that I considered a great friend as well, committed suicide less than 6 months later.